Okay, so now we're getting to the good stuff. 1994's Under a Killing Moon is an adventure game classic. It was groundbreaking in a lot of ways, and as we just saw, at least I just saw, it holds up fairly well. But 1996's sequel, the Pandora Directive, is pretty much better in every way. I will say that if you like that goofy slapstick humor in Under a Killing Moon and the really campy acting, some of that is gone here in the Pandora Directive, which in general is a more focused, more mature narrative, just a better story, and has significantly improved production values. It is basically, a bigger, better, more ambitious sequel all around. As you'll see, the interface here is identical. The gameplay is identical, although the puzzles are harder, and a lot of the presentation is stepped up. So I really enjoy this game. This to me is my favorite Tex Murphy game, and I would say if you're only going to play one, this would be the one I would recommend. It's very similar to Under a Killing Moon, but it's just a better version. So we'll go ahead and start a new game. And this is one of the main distinctions between Under a Killing Moon and Pandora Directive, which is there's a difficulty selection. The game recommends that you play the first time on entertainment level, which provides you the ability to use the hint system. And it says to bypass the more difficult puzzles. I don't know if there's a way to skip. I think there is a way through the hint system to skip specific puzzles. I think just like in Under a Killing Moon, you have to spend points to use the hint system, and you have to use points to skip puzzles. But that option is available to you, and I think like Under a Killing Moon, the difficulty is such that you should be able to amass points and then be able to use the hint system effectively if that's the way you choose to play through the game. The new option is the game player's level, which Access says is very challenging and should be selected only by experienced game players. I don't know that it's that much more challenging. But the major differences are these. There's no hints. There's more points, but nothing to spend those points on. And there are bonus locations and puzzles. This part right here, locations, I'm not sure what this is referring to. I can't remember any bonus locations, but presumably they exist. The puzzles, my main recollection is that there are a couple of additional puzzles, but really just the puzzles are harder. And that's sort of the big difference. The note here is that both levels have 3 narrative paths through the story, leading to a total of 7 combined endings. And so the takeaway here is that this decision does not affect the outcome of the story and really doesn't make the games that different or the playthroughs that different. And that's true. In regards to the 3 narratives paths, there is a slide after this that may appear that explains this, but I don't know if it'll show up more than once, and I've already seen it, so I'll just explain this right now. The 3 narrative paths are Mission Street, which is the good path, Lombard Street, which is sort of the neutral path, and then Boulevard of Broken Dreams, which is the bad path. And you end up on those paths via decisions you make in game that shift you either to the good side or to the dark side. It says there are 7 endings. I only remember 6, but they range from a very good ending that's very difficult to achieve and is effectively an Easter egg, to various endings that result in Tex not making it to the final day. So those are all part of the game. We're going to try to play on Mission Street, which is the good guy ending, or the good guy path, just because to me that seems like the more natural path. Lombard Street is really hard to stick to, which is weird because it feels like it should be where people drift to, but it requires you to do, morally neutral things, but really there aren't any neutral options. Everything's very binary. So I find it artificial to stick to that one. But I find it much more artificial to go all the way down to the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, which requires you to just do things that are just really out of character for Tex, and is actually very dark. So we're going to shoot for a Mission Street playthrough. Oh, okay, and this slide did appear. So again, Mission Street, be thoughtful, kind, and choose the high road. Lombard Street, stay neutral and perhaps a little naive. That is difficult to do. Boulevard of Broken Dreams, be antagonistic and selfish. So these two are both fairly obvious choices. You know, either you play it nice or you play it as an asshole. And we'll be going with nice. In regards to the endings, that the really good ending or the very good ending is very difficult to achieve because it requires specific dialogue choices at specific times. And I am not going to look that up. I know that I've done it before, but I don't want to use a walkthrough unless absolutely necessary. So I don't intend to consult that. So my guess is that we'll be on Mission Street and we'll end up with the second best ending, which is a lot easier to get. So let's go ahead and start the story.
table? You know, I'm turning 30 tomorrow. Did you know that?
Well, happy birthday. You know, I was just thinking you don't look a day over 25.
Liar. I don't know, I've just been feeling very stuck lately. You know, I cannot remember the last time I was surprised by anything. Can you?
The last time I was surprised was by you. Well, you know what I mean. I'm just surprised that we're able to stay good friends.
I've been thinking about moving. Maybe Phoenix. I've got an old college friend that lives down there, and she says it's nice. I think the change would do me good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you'll love it down there, 'cause there's square dancing and 10-gallon hats and armadillo hunting.
And macho yokels with names like Tex.
Okay, that's yours.
So tell me, what do you think? You think I should go or not?
Well, you know, Arizona may seem like a much more exciting place than San Francisco, but it's dangerous down there. At least around here, you got your friends checking out for you.
It's dangerous everywhere. I mean, especially here. I mean, did you hear about that co-ed? Someone murdered her in her own bedroom.
I didn't hear about that. Who killed her?
Well, the newspaper said it might be a serial killer. They gave him some kind of crazy name. I don't know, I can't remember what they called him.
Well, doesn't that stuff scare you? I mean, I'm a tough guy, and it scares me.
I appreciate your concern, Tex, but I have been fine on my own for a long time. Looks like the rain's letting up. I'm going home.
Got a big date?
Oh, yeah. Cary Grant and a pint of Haagen-Dazs. Hold me down. See you later.
What a schmuck.
What?
Chelsea was giving you opportunities all evening and you blew every one of them. The son PA you are. Well, you wouldn't know a clue if it walked up and punched you in the face.
Listen, all I know is, every time I try and ask her out, she turns me down.
It's from the distinguished gentleman in the corner.
You bought me a drink?
He bought you a bourbon.
Oh, good evening, good evening. Gordon Fitzpatrick is my name. Please sit down, sir. You know, I am not in the habit of eavesdropping, but I do believe I heard someone say that you were a private detective.
That's right. I'm a licensed private investigator.
Oh, delightful. It's a pleasure indeed to meet you. And your name?
Murphy. Tex Murphy.
Tex Murphy. Well. This is fine. Now listen, let me ask you this, Mr. Tex Murphy. Have you in your work ever had the occasion to seek for a missing person?
Sure. I can do that.
Well, then perhaps we could do some business.
I think we can work something out. My office is just around the corner, the Ritz Hotel.
Why don't we go there? I like your office. Oh, yes, the ambiance is very authentic. Reminds me of those, those old detective stories that I used to watch when I was a kid. I'm sure that at any moment, Sam Spade is going to come marching through that door, but then who needs Sam Spade when I've got Tex Murphy standing in front of me? Did you always want to be a private eye?
As far back as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have a seat, Mr.
Thank you.
Fitzpatrick? Yeah? While all the other kids were logged on to Sesame Street Interactive, I was reading Hammett and Chandler.
It must be quite an exciting life.
Oh, it's got its moments. Don't get me wrong, it's not like the movies. It sure as hell doesn't pay very well. But it suits me. So what can I do for you, Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Well, I'm trying to find an old acquaintance of mine, Thomas Malloy, Dr. Thomas Malloy. The last official address for him that I have is the Ritz Hotel. Now, do you happen to know him?
Can't say that I do.
Well, it's very important that I find him. You know, let me give you a little background. For many years, I was a research scientist, and I worked alongside Dr. Malloy. But about 20 years ago, maybe, I guess something like that, our paths diverged, and I lost touch with him, and he with me. And then very recently, I saw a photograph of him in a local newspaper. Now, it's a strange thing how time is such a natural equalizer, makes us appreciate the faces from one's past. At any rate, the older gentleman in that photograph is Dr. Malloy. And I contacted the newspaper to find out where the photograph had been taken. It was at the San Francisco Technical University. Well, I hiked right out there, got to the campus, and decided to look the man up and surprise him. Even with that photograph, no one recognized him, no one knew his name. But then I received a strange phone call from a young woman named Sandra. The man I knew as Thomas Malloy, she knew as Tyson Matthews. She seemed quite uncomfortable talking on the vid phone, so I suggested we meet. She never showed up for that appointment.
You never heard from her again?
You know, it's strange. But this simple, whimsical wish of mine to get together with my old friend has materialized into, I don't know, I feel a sense of impending doom. I fear for the young woman, and I fear for my friend, Dr. Malloy.
It sounds interesting. I think I can look into this for you.
Thank you. Now, you'll have to refresh my memory. How much is your fee? How does it work?
I charge $500 a day.
Of course.
Plus expenses.
Naturally. There, that should be enough to get you started. And here somewhere, there you go. I could be reached at that number.
I'll be in touch.
I feel we're off to a good start.
All right, Mr. Fitzpatrick. This is the first cash I've had in months. $4,000. I owe Louis $200, and Rook says I owe him $300. But there should be plenty left over. Yes, sir. Things are definitely looking up. Fitzpatrick didn't give me much to go on. Just the newspaper photo of Malloy and the fact that Malloy stayed here at the Ritz. And there's that girl Fitzpatrick referred to, Sandra. Maybe I can track her down. First, I need to find out which apartment Malloy was staying in, and then get into it. That means I gotta deal with Nilo, my landlord. It's the second week of April, and I'm a little late on my February rent payment.
Okay. So that was the sort of much longer, more cinematic intro to this particular adventure. We start off here in Tex's bedroom. His office is significantly larger than it was in the first game. I don't know if these are renovations. They must be because he's on the same floor of the same hotel. We'll go ahead and look around. But before we do, I just want to point out the significant technical improvements in this title. And while it's not, a next-gen version or anything, it's still very much identifiable as the same game engine and the same sort of gameplay style as Under a Killing Moon. I do find it much more visually impressive pretty immediately. So let's go ahead and look around this new bedroom area that didn't exist in the first game. This is new.
This door leads downstairs.
Right, so one of the changes here is that the interior of the Ritz apartment building is explorable, and Tex now has a door that exits inside to the inside of the hotel to an interior stairwell, rather than just to the like a fire escape or an external stairwell as he did in the first game. But that's not the main entrance into the apartment, and we don't have to use it. It is very strange to me that there is a door, a door that leads straight into Tex's bedroom. I don't think that's how most apartments are set up, but unless they're studios, but that's certainly how his is.
The guy who sold me this hormonotron said it would make women obsolete in my life, but I can't get it to work. This is where I keep the elixirs and potions that help me maintain my boyish good looks.
There is nothing in this.
These are designer lights, as if there were any doubt. Amazingly, I made this horse out of a single coat hanger. The headboard keeps me from hitting my skull on the wall. I think that's a ceramic dog. I won this athletic supporter trophy in high school. I was the best third-string punter in the state. I'm currently reading The Maltese Fruitcake. The family's been passing it around for years. This is some sort of cool thing. It's a small miniature camel. The downy fresh hub of my swinging bachelor pad. It's my own little attempt at creative horticulture. Space Girl Doris. With your own form-fitting airsuit and come-hither smile, I still dream of you and a lunar landing. I'll pick up these clothes next time I'm expecting someone else in my bedroom. Yeah, fat chance of that. My parents found this in the attic and sent it to me. I remember the pastoral days of my early youth, riding on my trusty Mount Striper, chasing bank robbers and horse thieves. And all that came to an end one summer afternoon during an electrical storm. The lightning struck a transformer near our home, creating a tremendous power surge. It was after the accident that my brothers and sisters started calling me Tex. Whenever I asked them, they'd just laugh and wink at each other. I never did find out about that nickname.
I certainly didn't mean to give the impression that there is no humor, or sort of absurdist, slapsticky kind of scenes in this sequel. There certainly are. They are definitely toned down, but that's a pretty charming example right there.
This is where I shave my face once a month, come rain or shine. Soap on a rope. Grandpa Murphy buys this for all the grandkids every Christmas. This is the certificate and a copy of the check the Mutant League gave me after my last case. I used the cash to expand my office, buy some furniture, and pay off my debts. That left me with $4.12.
Okay, this says Certificate of Appreciation to Tex Murphy for his outstanding investigative talent and tremendous efforts on behalf of the mutants. We wish to extend this, it looks like it says Tolkien, Tolken, this token of our deepest artificial heartfelt thanks from the League of Mutants, $10,000. Okay, not a bad payday, but I would say probably under what I would expect the going rate to be for saving the world from a doomsday cult.
Indoor plumbing is one of the many luxuries I try not to take for granted. Amazingly enough, this space-age cabinet came folded into a packet the size of a Triscuit.
So there are other new rooms in our apartment, and we'll go check out one of the other ones right now. This is the computer room.
Most of these computer components were purchased at a yard sale. The only one I've been able to get running is the little laptop on the shelf in front of the chair. I cut this article about Mac Malden out of the newspaper. Gives me a good chuckle. You can never have too much shelf space.
And this is a good excuse to examine all the things in our inventory, which sometimes reveals what their actual purpose is.
I cut this thing out of the paper a few days ago. I've known Mac Malden for years. We've worked together on several cases, but I don't know if we're actually friends. We just help each other out occasionally. So Fitzpatrick's staying at the Savoy. Guess I can call him on my vid phone if I need to talk with him. My trusty electronic shop credit card. The only way to go when you're out of cash.
So cash is a new mechanic in the sequel. You can gain or spend cash in various ways, but I don't think you ever need more than the minimum amount of cash. So even if you decline opportunities, unscrupulous opportunities to get more cash, there's no downside. There's enough cash even if you only get the minimum amount that's required, and avoid all supplemental forms of income, which sort of defeats any of the moral choices that involve cash, but we'll get to those when we get to them.
It's another beautiful night in the city I love. I call this painting Bleak Landscape.
Looks like Tex has embraced the iron lifestyle since his last adventure.
This barbell would provide a great workout if it weren't so darn heavy. I'm gonna start using this thing just as soon as I get in shape. This chair just didn't make the cut when I refurbished my office.
So Tex told us that only the laptop works, so let's go ahead and use the laptop. See what we can do with that. And in what is becoming a Tex Murphy tradition, the computers don't actually have any hard drive, apparently, or any sort of permanent storage, and instead require some sort of a boot disk for every single function, which is, seems like not the way I would expect technology to go in the next 20 years, but I guess you never know.
A reproduction of Fish and Fruit by the mutant surrealistic Saul Dooley. It's one of my favorites. Bear in a trench coat. This is a big photo of two horses. Why I have it and why it's actually hanging on my wall, I have no idea.
So I will also note that the control is not as squirrely in this one. I did not turn down the DPI on my mouse. Still get some texture warping there. You can see it on the table. But it definitely controls a lot smoother. It's still sensitive. But the other thing I noticed when I was testing out this game for recording, the ability to look is much more precise. It is not nearly, I'd tap one of the buttons and then immediately be staring at the ceiling. It's not, that especially is better. I don't know why, because that's a keyboard input, but I'll take it.
This photo was taken at the last family reunion I attended. Has it really been 18 years? This painting epitomizes my view of women as a gender. No matter how many lights I have in a room, there's always space for another lamp. These shelves contain some of a handful of Agatha Christie novels and my secret Aladdin lamp. I'm not planning on dusting that baby until I'm ready to retire. This is just a bunch of stuff.
So not much useful in the computer room, but or in the bedroom, frankly, which maybe is an indictment against poor techs. But we'll go check the last room, which is sort of the main office room, which looks very similar to how the entire apartment looked in Under a Killing Moon. Although the cot's no longer there because obviously we have our own bedroom, and there's this new sort of entranceway into the office, which is new, but otherwise very similar in appearance and pretty similar in content. But we'll still take a look around.
This alien landscape reminds me of the old Star Trek episode where they get that distress call, then Captain Kirk meets that beautiful woman, then he and Spock barely escape, then Kirk makes that funny joke right at the end. This office was a dance studio before I moved in. This is a breathtaking view of Saturn from the imaginary planet Alpha 19. This painting always reminds me of something. I'm not sure what. I got this from my grandpa, Audie Murphy. It was signed by Richie Havens. Grandpa said he was the original singing detective. I haven't played my phonograph since it destroyed the A-side on my Bill Shatner Sings the Blues LP. Taco Bob. It's got the most stylish placemats in town. This hot plate will come in handy if I eat anything other than saltines and dog food again. Eat the rich dog food. A little gamey, but not bad for the price. I've had this jackknife ever since my Weeblos days. My knife used to have all the cool attachments. Now everything's busted off except the pliers and the standard screwdriver head. I picked this book up at Rook's for $0.25. It's worth every penny. The guy who sold me this said it just might be an unsigned Picasso. It better be, because I paid $30.
Looks like we still have our degrees from the University of Investigation of Utah and the Correspondence School of Private Investigation.
A couple more cases and I'll have this thing paid for. Then I'll start paying off my student loans. Took me forever to get this diploma. I had to send in 100 proofs of purchase from True Detective. This is where I store my case files. One of these days, I'll get around to dusting it. The 60-day warranty just ran out on my electronic shop fax machine. It should break down any minute now. The scanner brings back some truly fond memories. Wonder how Trixie's doing.
Very classy. Let's look in the desk drawers really quickly. I don't think there's anything in them, but I'll check.
Another can of Eat the Rich dog food. Well, at least I'll never starve. Yeah, it's taken me years to fill up these drawers. That's my Jane Mansfield coloring book and the Inspector Poirot mask I used last Halloween. That's my These drawers are the holding area for stuff that's about to be tossed out in the trash. Took me 3 days of hard work to empty this drawer out. Another bill from the electronics shop. I can't believe they expect me to pay for the junk they sell.
Okay, so there was something in there. This notice is to inform you that this account is delinquent and must be paid immediately. If payment is not received within 3 hours of this notice, it will be sent to the Body Parts Collection Agency for immediate action. Final notice, and we have a outstanding debt of $1,230, which is decent.
No one sits in this chair but yours truly. My new vid phone is essential to my business. Thank goodness it's easy to operate.
Yeah, so this is another sort of new mechanic in this one, which is the vid phone, which allows you to make video calls and speak to people remotely. So the only person we could call right now is our new client. Gordon Fitzpatrick is the only name that appeals here, or that appears here. There's no ability to just dial random numbers. But yeah, we're not going to do that right now since we don't have anything to report.
With all that these chairs have gone through, I feel like I could write a testimonial to the makers of Scotchgard. Between my wedding ring and this picture of my ex-wife Sylvia, I will never, ever forget that women are alien creatures capable of great destruction.
I'm sorry about having to do that twice. I occasionally accidentally double-clicking, and then that cancels out the initial click.
This picture was taken of my ex-wife on her 25th birthday. Yeah, she was gorgeous. Makes me wonder sometimes why we couldn't make it work.
Well, okay then. A few more things to look at.
Ritual virility is a guide to scoring with women. Step number 1, get rich. I borrowed this magazine on my last trip to the dentist. I've always been crazy for the Miracle Nails model. One of these days, I'm gonna realize my dream of opening a spelunking shop in the Utah desert. Guilty as heck, the gripping saga of Lance Knight, the soft-boiled PI. That's a New York Times bestseller, Men Are Imbeciles, Women Are Erratic. My mom sent this to help me with my love life. I've read the first chapter and I think the author's a hermaphrodite. And my trusty lamp. This thing sure beats my old desk. 8 cinder blocks and a half sheet of plywood.
This looks new, and I think we might know why.
This baby's brand new. I had to replace the old one after the, incident. Lord, what a horrible memory.
I don't think we can take a cop now.
Chandler Avenue recently got a city-funded cleanup. Now the street's darn near clean enough to eat off.
We can see a texture warping Chandler Avenue out there. So that's Tex's apartment and office, and wow, we're getting some framiness here. And we're also sort of at 40 minutes in already, which is, incredible, given that we haven't actually really started anything. But we'll go ahead and call that a video, and then next time we will head out and explore sort of the revamped Chandler Avenue, and we'll begin investigating the disappearance of Dr. Malloy in earnest. So, see you then.